Yo, this is Mike with Comic Lore, and in this issue, Carnage finally takes over. So let's tap right into it. So if you remember from our last issue, where we picked up at was that Carnage is Eddie Brock. They went to go to Eddie Brock's dad's house, and they found out that Torment had actually killed Eddie Brock's dad. So what it's going to start us off with in this issue is it's going to be a flashback of when Eddie Brock was a young kid. And basically, we see why him and his dad have this horrible relationship. Because his dad was like the textbook evil, abusive father, right? So he basically is just punching and beating the crap out of Eddie when he's a kid. And Eddie's like, I hate you, I hate your guts. And the dad's like, I know you do. I'm beating the crap out of you. I know you don't like me. But here's the funny thing, even though you don't like me, even though you want this to end, it's always going to have a connection between us because of our bloodline. Because we're connected. I'm your father. No matter how much of a POS I am, there's still going to be a part of you that's going to learn for my connection, that's going to yearn for my attention, no matter what you say or do. No matter what happens, even if it's just wishing that I was a better dad, there's always something that's going to be there. And there's truth to that. Growing up in not the best environments as a kid, even people who, when you were younger, who maybe disappointed you or couldn't do enough for you at that time, you still, as an adult, want to try to repair that relationship, or you think fondly back on those times where things were good. And it shows that human relationships, they're really messy. And so even though Eddie Brock, his dad was beating the crap out of him and kicking him out of the house, you saw when he thought that he was in danger, well, he knew he was in danger because Torment was going after him. What did he do? Exactly what his father said. He came in because he still has that connection to his dad. And what it does is it picks up to right at that final scene where we saw Carnage's dad. He had just been murdered by Torment. And Torment is just sitting there chilling, and he's got on Shocker's bracers, and he's waiting for Eddie Brock to come show up because he wants to inflict maximum damage on him as well. So Eddie Brock comes in, and he's like, my father, you killed my father. He's mad. It's like the old Dave Chappelle sketch, right? You to kill my father, right? Like, he's mad. He's ready to go. And Carnage is telling him, like, hey, Eddie, you got to stop, like, freaking out, and you got to focus because Torment's not playing around. He's right here in front of us, and if we don't have our A game on, something bad's going to happen, so we got to lock in. So basically, at this point, Carnage and Eddie, they repeat the message that Eddie's dad used to tell him, which is, this is about blood. And Torment says, isn't it always? And she's giving him this weird, creepy smile. And these two, they go and start engaging in combat. And Torment is actually very formidable. He's able to dodge out of Carnage. He's attacking him, and then he starts hitting him with the bracers he got from Shocker. And he tells him, we're doing a lot of talking. How about we do some listening? How about we open up those ears? And as he says that, he starts to unleash these sonic blasts towards Carnage and Eddie Brock, and it just decimates Eddie Brock. He can't withstand it. It basically just knocks him out. And instead of Torment going in for the kill, he's like, I can't do that yet. I'm still waiting for more loops, Eddie Brock, for you and your family. That's all. Then it will feel the way I need you to feel. Because he could kill him now, but he's toying with his food. He's basically letting Eddie know, I'm going to take everything from you first and get you in a state where you're pretty much going to be begging and hoping that I take you out before I actually do it. So we see that he is such a sadistic killer, and he's out here messing with people. And it made me think, what would a comic look like if we can get him and the Punisher together? I think that would be really great. So I hope Marvel somehow in the future can make those two interact. I think that would be an amazing story. But what we do is we go back to Spider-Man after he just got smacked up against the wall in the previous comic when they were trying to confront Carnage. They thought that he had the bracers at first. And we find out that actually he didn't have the bracers. He was going to go stop Torment, like we mentioned previously. And Spider-Man always wanted to quip and make jokes. Is like, yo, anybody seen that giant Eddie Brock that just hit me? Got that license plate? Because, Spider-Man's got to quip. He's got to be funny. And he's just thinking to himself, plenty of folks have exes, and most have one in particular, a biggie, someone in the rear view who's, I guess, larger than they appear. And so this has kind of a double meaning. The double meaning is that, yes, now Mary Jane Watson is Venom. She does have the symbiote in its powers, so her size is a lot bigger, but his love and their connection has never gone away. It's still there, even if they both want to try to deny it. We know that they're always going to find their way back to each other that's just like the sun rising in the east and setting in the west, right? We know that those two are going to find their way to each other. And so basically, they're talking back and forth, and Peter's like, well, I'm glad at least you got Venom and not Toxic, because who wants a Toxic X, right? Haha, haha. He's cracking jokes. And Venom is basically like, yo, we need to be more concerned about why in the world did Eddie Brock decide to like join up with Carnage. He knows that Carnage is a killer, and that's all that Carnage really wants to do. So why did Eddie choose him? And Venom tells him at the end of Venom War issue number 5, Eddie Brock was tore up. He had bullet holes in him, or not bullet holes, he was stab wounds all through him, and he was really, really destroyed. He was about to die, and he goes into a church, actually the church where he first got the Venom symbiote, and he's in the church, and he sees Carnage, and Carnage is basically telling him like, I need somebody to host with so that I don't die and just kind of melt away from lack of a strong host, and you need somebody to heal you. So why don't we make a deal and we work together? And what this ended up happening is that Eddie Brock and Carnage, they make a deal together, and Carnage, he needs to feed by killing people. But Eddie Brock doesn't want him to kill just any innocent person. So he tells him, we can kill when we find a suitable serial killer. And Carnage is like, okay, we'll make that deal. But what we also learned in one of the previous issues in Death Spiral, I believe it's issue number 1, is that when Eddie doesn't kill for a long period of time, he starts to get weak and he starts to fiend like he's a drug addict because he's not getting that fix that Carnage needs in order to stay healthy. And so basically at this point, what we have is we have Venom and Spider-Man. They're trying to go find Eddie Brock because at this point, they really don't know everything that's going on. They're like, we have to get to the house and try to stop Eddie before he does something he regrets. And what we do now is we transition to, it says, somewhere in a dream. And in this dream, we have Brian, who's a friend of Peter, who actually was his boss when he was working at Rand. And while he was working at Rand, they uncovered this conspiracy called like Queen Cola, where they were trying to make people hallucinate and take over their brain, make them do weird stuff by drinking this soda. And basically, Brian had figured out that something was wrong, and he was a whistleblower. So him being a whistleblower, bad guys usually don't like that. So they sent the Hobgoblin after him, and Hobgoblin tried to kill him. And as this is happening, Brian gets like too close to the spores, the mushrooms that they're using as a agent inside of this cola, and it gets into his system, basically. So he falls into a coma after that assassination attempt, and now he's in like a biohazard unit, and they're talking about how his condition is and how basically he's just destroying through all their air filters because whatever's inside of him is so toxic. Like they don't know what it is or what's causing all this. But what we see is that Brian is engaging in this conversation with these beings, and they're basically like, you're our father. You nursed us here. You brought us here. And he's like, well, if I'm your dad, I would low-key hate to see your mom because you guys look hideous. Like little uglier Groots, like voodoo Groots. That's what I'm going to call them. They're the voodoo Groots. And he's looking at all these little voodoo Groots, and they want to get out. They want to escape because they're scared that people are going to try to harm them. And they're like, Brian's like, if I let you out, can I wake up from this dream? And like, yeah, we'll make sure you wake up from this dream. So basically, he's making his own Faustian bargain where he is going to allow these creatures access to go out and be able to spread out in the real world. At least that's my theory. And I don't even know if he realizes what's happening because he's still in a coma. He might just think he's dreaming, but this is actually going to have an effect later. And we know that because the doctors, after they have their previous discussion about how he was just ripping through air filters and they don't really know what was going on with him, they say it's a miracle, but now he has a clean bill of health. And similar to a horror movie, when they say the bad guy's been destroyed, we see in his nose that there's something hanging out. So even though it might look like everything's good, we know it's not. So with this, what we do is we have Spider-Man and Venom, and they stumble upon the body of Eddie Brock's dad. And when they stumble upon this body, they're like, yo, why would Eddie do this? Why would he allow Carnage to just take out his dad? And they're arguing back and forth because everyone knows Carnage's reputation. They know he's a killer. They know what he wants to do. He wants to take people out at any chance and any opportunity that he gets. But Spider-Man notices. He goes, hey, look, we have a different calling card. It doesn't say Carnage rules here. It says Torment rules. So something's a little bit different. This isn't Carnage's normal calling card when he wants to take credit for a kill. Because usually serial killers, even in the real world, they want to collect trophies. They want to be known for what they're doing. And so when Carnage kills somebody, he lets a calling card go so that everyone knows that it was him. And basically, Mary Jane is like, well, maybe Torment is actually him just saying like he's been eaten up inside. He doesn't know how to deal with his torment and his pain because of everything that happened with his father, and it kind of spoiled over. And now he took out his own dad. And Spider-Man's like, well, I doubt that's the case, but let's get to Carnage. Let's get to the bottom of it. And at this point, we see that Carnage and Eddie Brock, they're trying to find Torment, and they're screaming at Torment, "I'm not finished with you. We have business. You think you can do that to us, to me, and just run away? I can smell killers. I can smell you, Torment. I know you're close." And so basically, Eddie Brock, he wants his get back. He's still mad. He's like, you try to knock me out, you hurt my dad, and you think I'm just going to let you slide. No, we're going to kill you. I'm going to take you out. And so he's like, basically, Carnage is coming. And as this is happening, we have a tower that's about to fall down on some innocent people. But when that happens, with his normal, timely heroics, we have Spider-Man coming in along with the help of Venom, and they're in a very stereotypical Spider-Man pose, holding up all of the fallen debris and making sure it's not getting on anybody. And Peter is still kind of not really flirting, but just bantering with Mary Jane. And he's like, exes in the workplace, conventional wisdom says it never works. So much for that old chestnut, huh? We should go on a podcast. So, always the Joker, always the kidder. And at this point, Venom tells him, Peter, we know you better than almost anyone. When the bad jokes per minute rate starts going critical, we know what it means. You're having a hard time with us. Focus. Carnage is the problem. Everything else can wait. And so basically, Mary Jane just calls him out like, I know that this is a lot for you to take in. You just found out last issue that, yes, I am in the symbiote of Venom and we are bonded together. But right now, you're worried about the wrong thing. You're worried about me being Venom when we have Carnage out here and we just think he just killed somebody, right? We have a serial killer on the loose. We got to figure out what's going on. And your head needs to be in the game and kind of out of who I am at this moment and who we used to be. And as they're saying that, they stumble upon Carnage again. And they're like, oh, there he goes. He's right there. Let's go after him. And basically they're like, hey, Carnage, you have to slow down. You're out of control. And we know about Carl and your dad, but you're putting innocent lives at risk. And at this point, Carnage tells them that I'm going after Torment. He has Shocker's tech. He killed my father. He's hurt all these other people. I have to take him down. And now Spider-Man is finally putting two and two together and making four. He's like, oh, okay. Torment is actually a person. It's not just another random calling card. So there is a separate person who's out here who's trying to harm people that we need to go and stop. And he lets Carnage know, I can track him with Shocker's gauntlets, right? I can figure out, pinpoint his location. Let's go take him out. And as he says that, you see Torment, he's walking through an alleyway, and he's like, man, I got to let these things recharge. I use most of that charge up to fight Carnage and take him out. And as he's saying that, Spider-Man tells him, hey, maybe one of us can lend you a charger. Well, I can't because I don't have one. But maybe one of these other guys can. Maybe they can help you out. And you see Torment looks over, and there's Carnage, Venom, and Spider-Man all on the wall looking at him, ready to take him out. And I just have to also admire the drip, though. As he has his whip around his neck, it looks so cool. Torment is a very cool, very exciting new villain. I hope we see a lot more of him because I really enjoy this story so far. But basically, he tells them, he's like, don't make me do this. It's not time yet. It's not time. The spirals aren't tight enough. So he's like, I don't want to kill you guys. Like, I haven't made you suffer enough. I haven't taken everything from you yet. If I have to kill you in order to stay alive and continue to be a villain, then I will. But that is not my goal here, at least not yet. There's still more pain for me to cause. And as he's saying that, Carnage says, don't worry, Torment. It's me, your old pal Carnage. And at that point, Spidey senses start going off. Like, oh, something's off. Something's going wrong. And they're like, Eddie, what the hell are you doing? And Carnage tells them, Eddie isn't doing anything, my dear. In fact, Eddie isn't here right now. And so Carnage has taken over. He has control of their body. And we saw that Carnage was being sneaky earlier in these comics when Eddie Brock would basically go through his withdrawal symptoms from not killing, and he was on his cell phone, right? Carnage took his cell phone and he's coordinating with Torment. Hey, let's go do this. Let's take out uh, Mary Jane Watson. That's another name to add to your list. So we know that Carnage has been being sneaky in the background, as well as he killed some butterflies when they were walking around an arboretum. And so we know that Carnage can act independently, but this is the first time we've seen him fully take over their entire body. And so let's see where this takes us on next week's issue. Hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. Also, don't forget, we are doing a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will be buying a year of DC Universe or Marvel Unlimited for a lucky subscriber. So if you want to be a part of that, like, subscribe, like I said, join us on this journey. Stay tapped in. Peace.